this off of a script. Well, not really a script, but an outline. But you packed a lot of straw into that little man, so I had to kind of consolidate. Anyway, to start, you claim that atheists insist that morality is absolute, that we steal, borrow, whatever, morality from a God that we don't believe in. But that's not the case. Christian morality is no more absolute than atheist morality, and quite frankly, I've never seen an atheist claim absolute morality. But let's start with how Christian morality is an absolute. Absolute morality is unchanging, and it applies to everybody. For it to be absolute, it has to always be the same, and it has to apply to everybody. Otherwise, it's not absolute, it's subjective. It's dependent upon the individual. If it doesn't meet both criteria, it's not absolute. So let's look at Christian morality and how that works out. We've got the Bible itself. God insisted that there's no human sacrifices allowed whatsoever. So that's that. There's no human sacrifice. Humans are not to be sacrificed. God shouldn't accept human sacrifices. And yet there was a guy by the name of Jephthah. He made a deal with God. He told God he was a general, and he was about to go fight a heavy-duty battle. And he tells God, if you give me the victory, I will sacrifice to you the first thing that comes out of my house to greet me. What he didn't realize at the time was the first thing to come out of his house to greet him would be his daughter. And of course God knew that, being omniscient, he would know that Jephthah said the first thing, that's going to be his daughter, so Jephthah's offering his daughter to me if I give him the victory. God went ahead and gave him the victory. So God set in motion a series of events that he knew would lead to Jephthah sacrificing his own daughter, even though the law that God gave absolutely stated, absolutely, that one is not to sacrifice a human, and moreover, especially their own children. So, God either changed or didn't apply that to himself. Either way, that's not absolute. Christian morality within individual Christian denominations has changed as well. And in fact, it's one of the many reasons for the different denominations. Once upon a time, it was okay to sin. You could just purchase an indulgence. Yeah, that was a piece of absolute morality that popped up and went away. And it caused the Lutheran Church to branch off from the original church. And it just went from there. Churches branch off from time to time based specifically on what they feel is wrong. This church is doing something wrong. It's part of their morality. It's not that absolute, is it? Of course not. That's why it changes. Atheist morality is based upon what's objectively good, not what's absolutely good. It will change to fit a circumstance, but it's not based on a magical sky man said this is okay. It's based on what's objectively good for, not just for me, but for the species, for the people around me, for the community. We as social creatures have evolved the need for interpersonal relationships, and so things that cause suffering, things that removes that cohesion, and is bad for us as a species. If we allow stealing to happen, then nobody wants to work, nobody wants to support anybody, our society falls apart. If, however, we don't allow stealing, but we do, say, maybe under certain circumstances, either allow it or make it a lesser crime. When a man steals a loaf of bread for his starving family, he's still stolen. But it's not the same as a man who stole because he's a greedy little bastard. By the same token, the bank manager who is kidnapped and strapped with a bomb and sent in to steal from his bank is completely absolved of all the charges. He still stole, but in that situation it was okay. So since we allow for that. And absolute morality doesn't. Stealing is wrong. It's either always wrong or it's not. And the moment you start allowing situations to affect that, then it's no longer absolute. It's still objective, for sure. But it's not absolute, because there are times when it doesn't apply. And then, of course, when you don't allow something to situationally be right, you get situations like the poor guy who was picking up sticks on the Sabbath. And, of course, he was executed for that, because it's always wrong to get firewood when you're cold, if it happens to be Saturday. Claiming that atheists steal Judeo-Christian values of absolute morality is crap. But let's dig into the Judeo-Christian values. What values do we steal? That we don't kill people? We don't rape people? That we don't steal? These are values that are contained by all kinds of different religions. Judeo-Christian values are not Judeo-Christian in origin. They're not Judeo-Christian in nature. They were borrowed from other groups and were passed on to groups that followed them. For instance, the most important is the Golden Rule. The very same Golden Rule that was given by Vishnu to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. The very same Golden Rule that Zoroaster taught Zoroastrians to follow. It's the same Golden Rule that the Buddhists follow now. It's not uniquely Judeo-Christian. And it is objectively right, because if I treat people the way I want to be treated, and everyone does that, then everybody gets treated well. It's not a hard concept to wrap your mind around, and it certainly doesn't require a God for me to be able to wrap my mind around it. Now, I did notice in your video, you claimed respect for Nietzsche. I respect Nietzsche because he does what I think an atheist should do, but you don't respect him. You're a liar. You use the term respect and mentioned him as a segue into a poor argument from authority. Well, Nietzsche said it, so that must be the case. I like what Nietzsche said, and I like that he said it, and so I'm going to say that all atheists should believe that. It's crap. It's poor crap. And quite frankly, to claim that atheists are hypocrites for not going out and murdering and raping people because Christians don't murder and rape people, and then to pack as many lies as you did in the video, making yourself a liar, that doesn't make atheists the hypocrite. That makes you the hypocrite.